there's a lot of people are worried that they're going to lose all of their jobs and everything is going to change. I think that people will just become more productive and people in general will have to upskill. So we're going to have to learn how to incorporate new technologies.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Learn English with Teachify. What? Beautiful. Mickey, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you, Lewis. It's a good day. I know we're recording podcasts back to back at the moment, so we are wearing the same clothes, the same as last week, but let's not focus on that point. I am fantastic. I said that half an hour ago, but I'm still fantastic. How are you, Will?
I feel a bit down today.
You're such an emotional roller coaster.
No, I'm feeling great. Just I'm loving life at the moment. So all good. So yeah, everything good. But what about Lewis? Lewis?
Excellent. Yeah, I'm good. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a little bit apprehensive, but I'm not going to tell you why right now. You'll find out. Don't worry, you'll find out. I'll just leave it there hanging. Let the tension build. But yeah, I'm a little bit nervous, a little bit apprehensive, a little bit anxious. But today we're going to speak about your favorite topic. I think it's your favorite topic anyway, because it's all related to robots, AI, and how it's going to impact the world of work. So I'll start with a big question, and it is, do you think technology will eventually make most humans obsolete, redundant?
I'm going to let Will go for this one because Will, to be honest, out of all three of us, is the one who always rants and raves about technology, in particular AI and ChatGPT. So, Will, the floor is yours. What do you think?
Okay. It's a tricky one. I don't think it's going to make humans obsolete. There will always be jobs that are necessary. I think, well, at least in our lifetime, for example, things like manual jobs, maybe cutting someone's hair, for example. I think that's always going to be a necessary job. But I think a lot of any job which requires receiving information, processing it, and giving a result, I think this is going to change and gradually become. I don't think it's going to eliminate us, though. I think we're just going to become more productive as we use it. That's what I think personally.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think there's a lot of people are worried that they're going to lose all of their jobs and everything is going to change. I would say that I am in the same boat as Will. I think that people will just become more productive and people in general will have to upskill. So we're going to have to learn how to incorporate new technologies and make our lives easier. It might even turn out that we reduce our working hours because we no longer have to do as much because robots or AI will take charge of most of it. But I still think there's always going to be a human behind who's kind of doing quality control, a bit like what we do with the content, for Teachify. So we manually created the content. Now we're using a lot of AI to help us generate the content, but that doesn't mean that we just teach that content. We also have to add quality control stops where we check the content and make sure that it's up to scratch and it's relevant to our clients. And I think that goes across the board. I think what's probably more interesting is not so much are humans going to lose their jobs, it's people's pay. Because if robots are doing work, who pays? Like, did the company pay the person who owns the robot? Did the company own all of the robots? Will there be a worldwide minimum pay introduced at some point in the future? I don't know. That for me is quite interesting. Lewis, you're looking at me like, Mickey, shut up, stop talking.
No, not all. I was just taking it all in. Absorbing all of the information because, as you two know, I have been a bit of a skeptic with ChatGPT and AI. And I think it takes a while for me to come round to the idea of adopting something else than being an early adopter. Will's just raising his hand. Will, what do you want to add to this?
I just want to ask you why.
I think I will naturally see the problems in new technology rather than focusing on the benefits. So I'm trying to change that way of looking at things, because there are undoubtedly so many advantages to using artificial intelligence. It makes us more productive, and it takes away a lot of like headaches of trying to be creative and put things together, translate things, and many, many more things. But I'll always look for a flaw, an error, a mistake, and then I'll maybe overly focus on that. I'll say like, not as good as humans yet, but it doesn't have to be as good as humans yet. It just has to be different, where it is definitely more productive and efficient than humans. If, for example, I want to think of 100 conversation questions about, I don't know, the aeronautical industry, that would take me months to think of appropriate questions. Whereas if I ask ChatGPT, it will give me these questions immediately, practically, and there will be some that won't be very relevant, and that's why I'll ask for more. So if I'm not going to actually ask anyone 100 questions, but from those 100, I'm sure half of them will be good enough. So yeah, I'm starting to come around to the idea of using AI, and I've come to terms with the fact that if you don't adopt it, we're probably going to be left behind. So I think the people who adopt it are going to be the ones that are going to reap the rewards, and they're going to see the benefits.
The same with crypto, basically.
Yeah.
Stop selling us crypto, Mickey.
It's not going to happen again. But anyway,
April,
so
isn't it, Lewis?
I think we've clarified that humans, we're not going to become obsolete. We're not going to become redundant, but there are going to be a lot of challenges that we're going to have to overcome in order to still be as useful as always, I guess. Mickey, what would you like to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, because you say like people not becoming redundant. I think, going back to what I said earlier, there is a possibility that people will become redundant, and there'll be two types of people. There'll be people that embrace technology, upskill, and incorporate it into their working lives, personal lives, and those people will benefit from it. And there'll be people who reject it, don't want to upskill, refuse to incorporate it, and these people will be left behind. That's my opinion. I think there's going to be two groups of people, and there will be people made redundant, but not because of technology. It'll be because of themselves.
It reminds me of, there's two videos I've seen recently. One of the videos was in 1960 of an interviewer telling someone that they're going to make drink driving illegal. And everyone's saying, oh, this is ridiculous. Of course, I'm going to continue drink driving. If anything, I drive better when I'm drunk, or this type of thing. And the idea of a change was so crazy that when we look back at it. And then the other one was Bill Gates on the David Letterman show, introducing the concept of email, and David Letterman making the joke, oh, so you're saying that now we can send a letter to someone anywhere in the world. What a shame this technology doesn't already exist. And everyone laughing. And now, of course, the idea of living without email is impossible. And I think this is pretty much the same. I think it's going to become...
Same with cars as well, like horses. You know, like people used to use animal, like horses to get around, and then into carts, and then it went to these like some shape or form of a vehicle, and then to the combustion engine. You know, like it's just a natural progression, I think.
Perfect. Let me just highlight one thing, because Mickey, you said that people will be made redundant. This is a nice way of saying to lay people off also. So you were referring to people becoming useless, obsolete, redundant. But if a company makes a worker redundant, then they see no reason to have that worker working for them, or they don't have the money to pay for their salary. So they are made redundant. They're given like a severance pay, a redundancy pay. And we can also say to lay someone off. Both of these mean that the company doesn't need the worker or cannot afford the worker. More generic ways of saying to dismiss would be to sack, very British, or to fire. And the opposite of fire, it rhymes, is hire. You hire someone, and then hopefully you never have to fire them.
Teacher Lewis.
Wow,
Oh, it's amazing.
It's all right. It's all right. Now I can take a step back and I'll keep asking you a couple of questions.
I'm
Nikki, you mentioned universal basic income, the fact that the state might have to pay citizens because they won't be working. Do you think this might happen? And if so, do you think it's a necessary step to deal with the changes that AI will bring?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is necessary. I don't even think it's just because of technology. I think this is a very deep topic, but just kind of skimming over it, I think there's a lot of things to take into account. I think it could exist now. I don't think there's a problem with it existing now. I think the problem is we naturally as humans are quite competitive, and if everybody's paid the same, then we lose that competitive edge, which means potentially the quality of work that is being put out there is not going to be that good, because doesn't matter, because you're going to get paid the same as this guy. So why do it better? Because we are naturally competitive. So having a flat minimum pay across the board would have to be not just like that. There would have to be kind of rules in place and some kind of system of motivation and pay increases. But for like people that don't have any income, for example, I think it can work quite well. And I'm actually, funnily you say that, I'm reading a book at the moment called Utopia for Realists.
Oh, wow.
And they actually talk about this, mainly about poor people, jobless or homeless people. Instead of governments trying to provide them with things that the governments think that they need, like shelter and food, is actually studies have shown that just giving them the money where they can decide for themselves, and they studied it over the period of 3 to 5 years, we will have this automatic perception that they're just going to spend it on drugs and alcohol, when actual fact, the studies show that actually they better themselves, and within 2 to 3 years, they're actually employed, they're working, they have their own houses. So it's an interesting, I didn't realize this. I was just reading it, and it was quite surprising to read. So if there was like a minimum, basic minimum across the world, then actually it could end quite a lot of poverty. And actually in this book, it also says that it gives you the number. I can't remember how many billions it is to actually end world poverty, which is actually not that much considering how much there is in the world. So it's basically we're in a system and we're being played by governments. That's all I'm saying.
No.
Mickey's just solved world famine in a Teachify podcast.
The book says it.
The book says it.
Guys, honestly, if you read it,
it's a utopia for realists.
Yeah.
When you read some of the stats and the data from like official studies that are in there, it's mind-boggling how we are still in a bit of a situation, worldwide.
Bit of a crappy situation.
When in actual fact, the money that is required is not that much. So it's worth a read. I would recommend reading it.
I like the recommendation. I like the thought as well. I personally think that there should be universal basic income as well. But the arguments against it is that people say that then there's going to be no motivation to work, and there's going to be no growth, and without growth, then we go on a downward spiral. Will, you're nodding your head. Do you agree with this?
Absolutely. I mean, capitalism all the way. Okay. No handouts. All right. Pull yourselves.
There are no free lunches.
No, there are no free lunches. 7-day working weeks. All right. I understand. I understand that there is a minimum. There's obviously a problem with homelessness and poverty, but I mean there is help, I believe, available. There is the unemployment benefits in different countries. Obviously, some countries better than others. But I think it's, of course, we live in the Western world, but it seems that the Western world, the capitalism kind of works. So,
yeah, but the thing is kind of like with the way that, I mean, this is changing the subject completely with technology. But anyway, let's roll with it.
Yeah, just roll with it. Keep going.
The thing that's a bit frustrating is with big corporations and marketing, for example, is we're encouraged and sold this dream. And like, for example, with like fast food, which inevitably is bad for you, which then encourages, which means you have to go to doctors, you have like health problems, and we're encouraged to buy things that we don't actually need just to impress someone who we don't actually care about. And just to end it up by talking to a therapist at the end of the day and feeling sorry for ourselves. Like we're in a cycle of shit. That's what I think.
I'm glad you got that off your chest.
Yeah.
To get something off your chest is kind of to speak about things that have been troubling you, worrying you, and that you really wanted to express. So I'm glad you got that off your chest. And now I bet you feel so much calmer, so relieved.
No, I've still got more in me, but I'm holding it back.
Exactly. He's holding back his emotions. Let's say there is a fight, you're boxing, and somebody wants to punch the other person. You can hold them back, literally. And we also use this phrasal verb to hold back your emotions. So Mickey has some anger built in there, but he's holding it back. He's not letting it out just yet.
Well, I can see Will laughing. What are you laughing at?
Nothing, no, nothing. I mean, I think that's great. I think it's great that you're so passionate about universal basic income, and
I'm not saying I'm passionate about it, but I just think it's something worth.
I think it's great. Hey, I mean, I think it's perfect.
Let me cut you off there. Let me interrupt you there, because we've only got a few minutes. Then we've got to dash. We've got to head. We've got to leave. So we were speaking about technology. So let's just brainstorm some technological phrasal verbs. I could kick off by saying that you turn on a TV, you turn off a TV. Then if you cannot hear it because the volume is too low, then you need to turn it up. Then if it's too loud, you need to turn it down. Then we have 4 key phrasal verbs related to technology. Will, what other technological phrasal verbs come to mind?
You've just taken all of them.
There's more, I promise. There's more.
Okay, it's all right. I'll go in. For example, if you go to the Teachify website, one of the things you can do is once you've purchased your English classes, you can log in and make sure that you have logged in, and then you scroll down.
that was my one.
And as you scroll down, then you can click on the teacher you want. And once you've clicked on the teacher you want, you simply you sign up for your English class. Then you can scroll up and log out. Mickey,
Mickey, any more?
Yes, I have one. Just one, because you both have said all the ones I was thinking of. And my one is, so if you're having meetings, sometimes this happens depending where you are in the world. Maybe the connection is not very good, and the other person is breaking up. So maybe you can't hear them very well, or maybe you can't see them very well. You could also say cracking up, which is not to be confused with to laugh, like Will is doing now, because to crack up is to laugh. But if the connection is cracking up, it's breaking. It's not very clear, and you need to log out and log back in. There's another 2. Boom, boom.
And here I have a charger, and of course, if you want to charge your phone or whatever, you need to
plug it in.
You need to plug it in. You need to connect it. And but then, do we plug it out, or do we
unplug it?
Exactly. So a lot of people mix these 2 up, phrasal verb. They confuse them because you plug something in, you connect it, and then you unplug it if you disconnect it. I think that's enough phrasal verbs for at least a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that'll do for today. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment, whatever you want. And don't forget to teachify your life.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
People.
Bye, guys.
Ciao, ciao.